days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time, and it's time to get into the news. The 49ers seem to always have every single day.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of news.
And there's a lot of stuff to get into today. I'm excited about this conversation because we got a lot of news because Kyle Shanahan spoke on Wednesday.
Accurate, and he spoke. He had things to say. He said things. He said stuff.
Things and stuff.
I know, it's nuts.
Wow, that's dynamite.
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
Just dynamite insightfulness. Next thing you know is I'm going to be coming out with reports talking about how the Niners are going to trade Jimmy Garoppolo based on information that's readily available.
I like that.
Ta-da. And that's what I'm here for. But Cutback Crew, you know what you're here for. And that's to pump up those subscriber numbers, get that comment section on fire, and smash that like button, as well as join in on the conversation with us. So make sure you do all of those things. Hit that notification bell as well. That way you don't miss out on any content. You don't want to miss out on anything that's going on because it's Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
It's Thursday, Ant, which means we got a live stream tonight that you're not going to want to miss. You got the Friday Frenzy tomorrow that you're not going to want to miss. And you may want to become a channel member and find out what's going on with the Cutback League because it's heating up. It's getting hot. You got 4 undefeated teams right now in the Cutback League, all vying for a playoff spot and a jersey from NFLshop.com. And Drew is cursing up a storm each and every game because Madden is absolute hot garbage. And who would have thunk it? Madden sucks. But let's get away from Madden and not football and get to real football and 49ers news, which is the most important thing because there were some practice squad signings. And do you know who the gentlemen were?
No, I don't. I really do appreciate you going away from Madden to real football, Alex.
That's what I'm here for, man.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, actually, these practice squad guys, I saw their names kind of go.
Justin March and Doug Middleton. But the reason that I was setting you up for that wonderful, I have no idea who these people are because I have no idea who these people are.
I know Doug Middleton. I read a little bio that the 49ers put out, about that he's been on several teams. He plays safety. I know they're a safety and a linebacker.
There you go.
So we got that going for us.
It's true.
But, all that really meant was that we're going to lose Kai Nacua. It's terrible.
It's bye, Kai.
Bye, Kai. Yeah.
Bye. See you later.
It's unfortunate. Nacua is gone. Hello, goodbye. It seems like he's been on and off the practice squad all year.
A couple times.
And now they're going to take a look at another linebacker. We're getting seriously close to working out every single possible practice squad linebacker there is.
They've done
They
it.
officially put Devin Funchess on the IR. They officially announced it.
So he's officially on the practice squad.
I don't know what's wrong with him, but
nope. I can't believe that there's no report yet that's come out about what the actual injury is.
Maybe they don't have to disclose it with practice squad players.
Possibly.
That I'm not sure.
Possibly.
And no one asked. No one.
True.
So
that's also interesting. Why wouldn't someone ask?
Well, because you have to ask if Kyle Shanahan's watched Bill Walsh's implementation videos.
That's more important.
Install videos.
That's more important.
Yeah.
Like father, like son.
100%.
In more ways than one.
Yeah.
In more ways than one. So look, the Niners add 2 new practice squad players, a linebacker and a safety, which not a surprise because the Niners have been adding a lot of linebackers and
all
safeties.
The injuries that they have at the linebacker position.
Yeah, so it makes sense. So really nothing crazy about that. We'll see if that has any impact, if they're comfortable with any of these guys, and any of these guys stick around long term, or if it's just another rotating revolving door there with the linebacker position. But there were some player status updates. Some guys and some people we need to update folks on because, this does impact the 49ers and what they can or cannot do. So let's talk about the full participants in practice that were guys who were on the injury list or had injury designations. That would be Contavious Street with the wrist. So that's nice to see. Limited participation in practice and 2 names that were a little surprising to me because I didn't expect them to be limited participants. I thought maybe they'd be DMPs or doing stuff on the side field. Michael Hasty with his ankle and Maurice Hurst. So definitely an opportunity for both of these guys to sneak back into the lineup and be with the team this week.
Yeah, Kyle even said that. Kyle said that both these guys could be playing this week. They have a shot. JaMychal Hasty makes the most sense to me. Trey Sermon just went down with an ankle. JaMychal Hasty's coming back from an ankle. It seems like it's kind of just works.
And you can put it. He is, per what Kyle Shanahan has said about Trey Sermon as well, he's a candidate for IR, so that would open up a roster spot as well.
He's going on the IR. 100% they're putting him on the IR. That way they have the roster spot available. and then they can move accordingly. Because I'm guessing they're going to have to add, a linebacker or whatever because Fred Warner's out. It appears Dre Greenlaw is going to be out.
See, what was the report from Rappaport? Long shot is what he said?
Yeah, he said he's a long shot. I don't even think that's far fetched. I mean, once again, I could have reported that, and you would have thought it was, I could just put a giant rap sheet on it, and everyone was like, "Oh, it must be truth," because I mean, everyone knows that if you're dealing with a core muscle injury like he is, a groin injury, if you re-aggravate it, you're probably going to be out for a while. So I don't think it's going to be like one of those things. He's not day to day. I would guess he's probably going to miss at least one, maybe two. And it could even linger longer. I mean, this is not a good situation when you re-aggravate an injury.
If you're the 49ers, the way he re-aggravated it too, this wasn't a situation where like he got caught in a weird space and body went down awkwardly. This is essentially a non-contact injury, a re-aggravation. He made an inside move and then immediately pulled up and didn't finish his pass rush. So if you're the 49ers, you're going to be careful with it. You're going to be extra cautious. You can't put him back on IR. You lose him for the season.
Right.
So if you're the 49ers, you're eating that roster spot, and you're just basically, I think, in all honesty, we might not see him again until playoffs. There's a realistic chance of that.
That is a possibility, 100%.
There is. I mean, people need to buckle in for that. That is a realistic possibility that Dre Greenlaw is going to be, they're just going to wait and make sure that he's 100% completely healthy.
Oh, you can't put him out there if he's not. So, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. The question is, what do they do in the meantime? While they're making these decisions, they're going to have to do something. I mean, they know they're going to get Fred back, and they've been rolling all season with Fred, Aziz. But when you're in these base 4-3 downs, Marcel Harris is the guy, and Marcel Harris is dealing with concussion. He's in concussion protocol. There's no guarantee with concussion protocol when somebody's going to come back.
No, not at all.
I mean, sometimes they can be back in time, sometimes they can't. So you're really talking about Aziz, Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles, and then, somebody off the practice squad. I mean, that's what we're looking at right now. And that's a scary proposition. You need to make sure you have guys that can fill those roles. A lot's going to be asked of these safeties in this football game to come in there and help in the run fits and really help this linebacker group. As far as matchups go, this might be the week to have it happen, though, because the Seahawks aren't the best when it comes to running the football.
No, they are not. But some breaking news, I guess, for the Seattle Seahawks.
Adrian Peterson.
Yes, the Adrian Peterson situation where they've signed him to his practice squad, Ant, to try and address their running back room. Concerned at all about Adrian Peterson in the backfield potentially for the Seattle Seahawks?
I think what it did was just give away what their game plan was. They're going to load up and they're going to try to run over the 49ers. They see that there's no Fred Warner. They're going to try to muck this up, make it an ugly game, and try to run the ball, 40 times and hope that they can get it done. Adrian Peterson doesn't scare me. Marshawn Lynch, when he came back in 2019, that scared me a little bit.
I got the spooks.
Because it's Marshawn freaking Lynch, but this is Adrian Peterson. Let's get out a switch and let's spank his ass.
I see what you did there, Ant.
Yeah.
I see what you did there. Was that a swear on the pod?
I mean, if ass is yeah,
then okay. Then I guess
it's also in the Bible. So
it is. You're safe. You're definitely safe. Let's hope those YouTube censors don't come for us, Ant.
That's fine.
Hey,
I want the smoke. Bring it.
Don't test YouTube, man. They will bring it.
Yeah.
But look, this is the linebacker room is an issue right now for the 49ers. There are concerns. There are questions. There are conundrums. This defense, without Fred Warner out there that's problematic. Without Dre Greenlaw being available, problematic. No Marcel Harris, even more problematic. We have seen a lot more 3 safety looks. So we saw Talanoa Hufanga a lot in the box. We also saw him playing a lot deep over the top. This could be an option for the 49ers. But, Seattle was making moves to try and attack that weakness right now with San Francisco and the uncertainty that surrounds that position. Kyle talked a little bit about Aziz Al-Shaair and the role that he's going to be playing now, being the guy who's going to be the signal caller. He's going to have the green dot. He's the middle linebacker. He's the mic. I saw some people talking about, well, Aziz has never called the plays before, so is this a concern? You brought this up and talked about how Aziz mentioned the fact that one of the adjustments he has on game day is not actually hearing the play calls, because at practice he does wear the green dot helmet, so he hears all the play calls, so he's typically used to hearing the plays and being able to regurgitate or at least know what he's supposed to be communicating to guys. Are you worried at all about Aziz having to shift over to Mike?
No, he's literally been doing this since he's been in the NFL. The 49ers have been training him from the beginning to play Mike. He's come in for Fred Warner before in situations and played Mike. This is something that doesn't concern me. Aziz is not the worry. Aziz knows what he's supposed to do. He knows how to handle his business. He knows how to make the calls. He's developed. He understands this defense inside and out. He's going to know what his responsibilities are. He's going to be able to help put people in good positions to be successful. The question is, what is going to be next to him? You know what I mean? I think we'd feel a lot more comfortable if we had Dre Greenlaw or we had Marcel Harris. We just don't know. And the unknown of Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles, yeah, he played well in the end of this last football game. But we also have film on him from this year where he looked absolutely terrible.
Also true.
So the thing is like what Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles are we getting? I'm hoping we're going to get the version that we saw in this last game where he's able to make the plays that he needs to play or needs to make, because we need those guys to be able to stop the run. If we can stop Seattle's run game, we have a definite opportunity to take care of business. But that is the question. Azeez is not the issue. Azeez has never been the issue this year. He's proven that in his play. The issue is who's going to be playing next to him, because at least all the other times we had all pro Fred to worry about, or that we had, and then we just had to worry about who the other guy was, whether that was Marcel Harris or one of the other guys. Now it's going to get even more complex because these safeties are going to have to step up in the box and help. And I see a lot of people talking Talanoa Hufanga, and I like Talanoa Hufanga, and I like Talanoa Hufanga playing in the box. But a lot of people don't want to hear this yet. But Talanoa Hufanga is not as good in the box as Jimmy Ward and Jaquiski Tartar. They are better at run fits than him right now. He's developing. He's a hard hitter. He flashes. But when it comes to run fits, those two are better than him. I actually believe that's why they're playing Talanoa Hufanga more in the deep third than those two guys, so they can play them in the box. So you're going to see Hufanga in there sometimes, but I think you're also going to see Tart and Ward hovering around the line of scrimmage a lot more than Hufanga.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think you're going to see two guys coming up. It's those two, and those two have shown they can do it at a very, 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 very high level. I think if you're the 49ers, you feel a lot better if you have Marcel Harris, because you can mix and match Marcel and Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles, put them in both in situations where they can be successful, and you just end up running more nickel than maybe you'd like to, but you have to based on the personnel that you have and the pieces that you have. But if you don't have Marcel Harris, this becomes very difficult because the Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles, as much as they, Kyle talked him up in the presser and talked about, how he's definitely improved in the pass game. He's getting better and better in terms of his run fits and just understanding the defense and the scheme and all that fun stuff. Understanding is one thing, executing is another thing. There's a reason why Trey Lance is understanding the offense, but they're not having him out there yet because he's not ready to execute the offense at the level that they need him to execute it at. It's the same thing with Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles. There's a reason Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles hasn't been playing. It's because, yes, he understands, but can he consistently execute? You haven't seen it enough yet. Well, Demetrius, this is going to be your week. This is going to be a week where we need the best version of Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles to show up. He has to. If the best version of Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles shows up and he's a guy who's fitting well in the run, isn't giving up big plays, isn't misreading and not getting to his lanes, isn't missing tackles, then the 49ers are going to be just fine. But if you have a Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles who's out there and just getting washed over and is nowhere to be found, and is pulling what he pulled against the Chicago Bears, you could have a problem.
Yeah, 100% we could. And you're talking about nickel. I think we're going to see a lot of a big nickel as well.
Okay.
Where you get extra safeties on the field. I think they're going to do that because they're going to want to make sure that they can, fill the lanes that are going to be left. And because you don't know who the third linebacker is going to be, you can't count on a third linebacker being on the field. So you're going to have to do that. Plus, you have to keep these guys somewhat safe, somewhat fresh. But it's going to be important for the offense to get the offense going, to get the run game going this week, so that they can keep the defense off the field and have less opportunities for Seattle to, make plays, especially in the run game. Run fits are going to be so important this week. It's an interesting game plan. It's an interesting way they're going to have to attack. And I'm curious to see how they end up playing it. Hopefully DeMeco Ryans has an idea of what he can do. The one thing I know about DeMeco Ryans that I like for this game plan in this situation is he understands these linebackers because he's been a part of drafting them and developing them. Azeez and Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles, Marcel Harris are guys that were safeties that he sees something in and he can develop them. And so this is what happens. Let's see what that development is. Let's see if he understands their skill set enough to be able to use them. I think he does. And he's going to put them in prime situation to be successful, whatever that is. But the other things they do off of that is what's going to be important. You have to confuse Russell Wilson. You have to keep him off his game. And can the Seahawks stick with a full-fledged running sledgehammer style, or is Russ going to need to cook? Is DK going to need to cook? And they have to switch and go to that.
You have to think so, especially comments post-game from Russell Wilson about how they need to get DK the ball. If you need to get DK the ball, you can't run and pound the rock 40 times, and if DK has to have the football in his hands.
I like when DK needs the ball because then that means it's going to get forced. Anytime you're trying to force a guy the football, I mean, that's the same thing that was happening with the Browns and Odell Beckham Jr. whenever you have to force someone the football and you have some sort of a throw count or a target count, then it makes you more predictable. And it also makes a quarterback not read the defense as well, not read what he's looking at as well, because he's trying to force the football to one guy. So that's good news. I like hearing that kind of stuff.
Same. I'm a big fan of that kind of stuff because that kind of stuff makes your offense one-dimensional.
Yeah.
More one-dimensional than it needs to be. And you have a lot of talent over there. But this is where you and I have been kind of in this boat of the DK Metcalf issue. A part of the issue with DK and diva prima donna wide receivers now in the league is because there's so much throwing the football going on in the league. If you have a team that's throwing the ball 40 times and you have a diva wideout who's not getting 10, 12 targets a game, he's going to start getting frustrated. He's going to get pissed off. We're throwing 40 times a game. I'm not getting a fourth of those targets. Why do you have me out here? Why am I even in your system? Well, sometimes, teams want to take you away. And if teams want to take you away, that means they have to take resources and use those resources to cover you. And if they're doing that, that means they're not covering other areas of the field and other people that we can attack. So sometimes you need to just eat it, suck it up. And when you get your one-on-one matchups, we can come your way and make sure you win on those situations. Otherwise, you're not going to be getting the football. Sometimes that's how it works out. The nice thing about the 49ers is nobody who needs the ball, right? Kittle doesn't need the ball. He's totally fine with blocking 40 times a game and never catching a single pass.
Yeah.
You want to get Debo the ball, but there have been games where Debo's been a decoy and not touched the football. You know what we don't get in press conferences afterwards? A pissed off Debo Samuel about how he didn't touch the football.
Yeah.
Brandon Ayuk, with all the struggles he had early in the football season, could have been a diva and gone up and talked about how, they just don't like me. I'm open. They're not getting me the football. We could have had BA's mom or dad, tweeting, BA, look, he's open here on this route, and they're just not throwing him the football. There's none of that in this locker room. There's nobody who's doing this. You have a rookie running back out there who's running the ball with 20, 30 times a game, and nobody's complaining. Kyle Juszczyk doesn't need the football in his hand. Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't need to throw 30, 40 times. A bunch of unselfish guys doing unselfish things, and the offense is having success because of it, and everyone's executing now and winning when their number is called, which is what you need in order to have success. Not every play is for you, but when it is for you, you better shine. And this team's doing that right now. So if Seattle is going to be a team that's going to force the ball to one guy or try and make one guy happy because we need to get him the football because he's talented, the Niners don't have to do that with Debo. Right? Kyle's found very creative ways to make sure Debo Samuel is extremely impactful in football games that haven't required you to throw the ball downfield to DK. Maybe that shows DK's limitations as a receiver.
Oh, and what it shows is that DK is not the same sort of weapon that Debo Samuel is.
Also that too.
It's also a generic version of Kyle Shanahan's offense that they're trying to run up there in Seattle. Just because you sign someone that runs, a similar offense from that tree, it doesn't mean you're going to get the real thing, right? It just because it looks like a great snack doesn't mean it actually is. It's a knockoff. You got it from the liquor store down at the street. It's just not as good. It's not as tasty, and that's what they're dealing with right now.
It's the off-brand Ritz bits.
It is.
Where you open the bag and none of the Ritz are together. There's no cheese, and if there is, it's a little dollop, a little tiny.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they thought they were getting the real deal from the, from the offensive coordinator, and they're not getting it. And part of the big thing that Kyle Shanahan's gonna have to overcome this week is the usage of the wide receiver position. Because the big talk around 49ers media row is that Juwan Jennings is wide receiver 2 now. That Juwan Jennings is the guy that's moved to that position because Debo Samuel's out, and now he's going to be getting all that. And we've been talking about this all throughout the season. Is Kyle Shanahan doesn't look at these guys as 1, 2, 3, 4. He looks at these guys as weapons. And I thought that something that was interesting that he said early on in the week was that Travis Benjamin is now going to need to step up, and they're going to have to use his speed to help elevate this offense. So we're going to get to see, we got 3 snaps from Travis Benjamin last week.
True.
So Travis Benjamin is going to have to step up. So, are you concerned about the 49ers wide receiver group? And let's leave George Kittle out of the conversation just for the mere fact that we know what he adds to this offense. And we can bring him in later. But just overall, this receiver group with Ayuk, Juwan Jennings, Travis Benjamin, and Trent Sherfield.
No. But for one reason and one reason only. Think back a few seasons to 2018, 2019, and the guys we had, and the players we had out there, the receivers that we had. No Debo for a good chunk of time for that year.
Well, 2018, Debo wasn't.
No Debo, but in 2019, Debo missed some time early. We actually didn't miss time early. He just was coming in to the offense. 2020 was where he missed some time early. But even 2018, before he gets there, there wasn't a lot of big play, impactful wideouts. I mean, yet the Niners started off that 2018 season rolling offensively, doing a lot of good things and positive things.
So you're not a fan of Pierre Garçon?
I am a fan of Pierre Garçon, actually. But here's the thing. The thing with Kyle Shanahan is he knows what he has with these wideouts. What you have in Trent Sherfield is a guy who can take the top off the defense, but has also shown that he can operate very, very well as a possession guy. Juwan Jennings, last week especially, shown that he can win against certain guys in space on certain route concepts and ideas. So there are opportunities to scheme him open. It's about getting him in the right matchup with the right guy on him in space, and he can win. And what do we know about Travis Benjamin? The speed is there. So what do you have this week in Seattle? Well, you have DBs who are not very good at, playing one-on-one in space. They tend to play a lot of cover 3, which means there's going to be a lot of bail technique and guys playing deep. So how can you use Travis Benjamin to your advantage? Well, you're going to run those cover 3 looks. You can get him in a slot running some sort of deep breaking vertical route, and then get those guys' hips turning to run with Travis Benjamin, who's got all the speed, and then settle him down and stop in space. But that may mean making some throws, or Jimmy having to make some throws that maybe he's not as comfortable or hasn't shown he's been as comfortable making throws outside the numbers deep. Deep passes down the sideline if you're able to get guys to bite in space or get guys to move and maneuver. But there's a way to utilize all of these guys. It's going to be up to Kyle Shanahan now to figure out how to best put together packages with these wide receivers, odd combinations that we typically don't see, in which they're going to have to be utilized properly. And Brandon Ayuk is going to have to take a little bit more of a role of operating, maybe not necessarily even middle of the field, but some deep shot opportunities are going to potentially open up for Brandon Ayuk, especially if you're able to get guys like Juwan Jennings, Trent Sherfield, or even Travis Benjamin on crossers early in the game and make some big plays. Just a couple. It's going to make these teams go, hey, we have to account for all of these guys, and may open up some opportunities for Brandon Ayuk one-on-one.
You're going to see a lot of bunch sets. You just have to see a lot of bunch sets to get these guys open, to make sure that they're running zone so they can't run man. If they run man, I worry about these guys being able to win one-on-one.
Especially Juwan.
And you're going to have Seattle in a situation where they can bracket Brandon Ayuk and take him out of the game. What you're going to have to count on is these other guys being able to operate. So that is Travis Benjamin or Trent Sherfield taking the top off, and then Juwan Jennings can't be the one that takes the top off. So he's got to be the one that's running the short to intermediate routes. I think that the wide receiver group, it kind of makes me nervous this week. If we're just counting on the wide receivers, thank God we have so many weapons, right, that are beyond that.
Yeah, thank God you still have George Kittle. And thank God. Do you, this is something I wanted to ask you. Juszczyk has been a guy who's been sparingly used in the passing game this year, whereas in previous seasons, especially the 2019 year, he was used a lot in the passing game, but it was a lot of deep shots and middle crossers as well. Could we see a little bit of a return to that this week, and Kyle Juszczyk being utilized as a pass-catching option for the 49ers?
100%, because I have this sneaky feeling that a one way around the wide receiver conundrum is to play less wide receivers. So now you're talking more Charlie Warner, more Ross Dwelley, 2-3 tight end sets, especially 2 tight end sets. And then with Kyle Juszczyk also in the backfield, go heavy run, make Seattle bring everyone up, and then slip Kyle Juszczyk out, faking these run plays and letting him run right by linebackers. He's already proven he's a mismatch for linebackers out in space. So you're going to want to find favorable matchups and things that you can do against it. But I mean, really, that's why I wanted to leave George Kittle out of the conversation at first, because looking at the receiver core by itself,
it's got question marks.
It's basically pretty dry. I mean, we got one little river out there, and that's Brandon Ayuk. I mean, he's the one.
I thought you were about to say River Craycraft.
No, not River Craycraft. I would actually not mind River Craycraft at this moment.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh man.
The reason being is he's got a little bit of a spark when he runs routes, right? He's a little bit quick. Where some of these, I mean, Juwan Jennings, I love him, but he's a possession receiver.
He's not a clean.
Well, right now, we've been able to operate the way we've been operating because we have Brandon Ayuk, who's playing at a great level, Deebo Samuel, who they have to bracket. So you pick your poison. Right now, when you only have that, you can double George Kittle, you can double Brandon Ayuk, and you can make somebody else beat you. The good news is the running back Elijah Mitchell, Kyle Juszczyk, and one of these other guys can win. That's going to be the key. But it's going to be hard. And I think if I'm Seattle, I pack the box and I make the 49ers beat me with these wide receivers. Can Travis Benjamin do it? Can Travis Benjamin take the top off? Can Trent Sherfield take advantage of his situations? I would like to think so, because I seen Travis running deep routes in last game, and he was definitely getting a lot of attention, which he always does.
Yeah, Trent Sherfield, this is a week right now where you could make yourself inexpendable in this 49ers offense. Like extremely inexpendable if he has a big week. If he can get open consistently, he can be a guy that they can go to on third downs. He's a guy who can win on first down, second down, things of that nature, and they can scheme him some opportunities, and he makes plays and makes crucial clutch catches. This could be a week that gets him an extension and keeps him in San Francisco long term.
Yeah, it could. I mean,
he needs to step up this week.
Right now, he hasn't proven to be a valuable receiver. What we saw in training camp hasn't translated into the regular season,
other than week 1.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you want, if that's what you're writing home about.
He had the big catch in week 1 and the touchdown in week 1.
Okay, so he had wide open catch. Yeah. I'm happy for him, but other than that, he hasn't blocked well. He hasn't run great routes. He had a good catch.
Hey, last week was his best run blocking performance.
Okay,
of
good.
the year.
I'm glad, and he had one catch.
Yeah,
I'm happy for him. I mean, it was a great catch. The defender had his hand right in the middle, and he made the catch. It was great. What I'm saying is we haven't seen those flashes that we saw in training camp.
No.
That we saw in the preseason. No. None of that has happened. He hasn't been able to take the top off the defense at all.
He has kept that same energy, though.
I'm glad. I wish that energy would turn into great play.
Production now, yeah.
Yeah, it's like an energy drink that doesn't get you going. Like, what's the point?
It gets him going after the play.
What does that matter?
Entertaining to watch.
I guess so. If Brandon Ayuk at least brings the energy the entire time.
That's true.
I like Trent Sherfield. I want to see him step up in this football game. I just wonder how he's going to be used and how they're going to operate. Whoever's playing opposite of Brandon Ayuk. I think it will be Juwan Jennings the most.
Yeah.
Because of Jennings blocking, and Jennings as a possession receiver has proven to be formidable. The question is who's going to play off of that. I wonder how many times we get the multiple tight end sets. They use 2 running backs and then Kyle Juszczyk, and really change it up the way they're playing this. And I don't.
Could this be a week where they keep that similar sort of formation with Debo, but it's Jeff Wilson and Elijah Mitchell?
They could. I honestly think if it's Jermichael, it'll be Jermichael Hasty in those situations.
Okay.
Because you can split Jermichael Hasty out and he can beat one-on-one coverage. He's a problem for a linebacker in the slot.
That's true.
He's a problem for the defensive end, Jamal Adams, in the slot. So if Jermichael Hasty's ready to go, he could be an important weapon in this game. So how they're going to play. But that is the key, right? If you can get a one-on-one matchup with Jamal Adams, no matter which one of these receivers it is, that is somewhere you can go with the football.
Accurate.
But yeah, I'm a little nervous about this wide receiver group. If we have Mahomes new, I'd feel better.
Absolutely. What are you more nervous about, wide receiver group or the linebacker group?
Wide receiver group. And
okay.
I say this because I believe that Seattle's not very good at running the football. If they had Chris Carson,
then yes,
I would. I mean,
more worried.
More worried. If Adrian Peterson would have been there for a few weeks
and was fully entrenched in the system,
more worried.
Yeah.
But I just don't know if they can consistently run the football, over and over. I don't think that's what Russ really wants to do. If they were willing to go pound the rock, I'd be worried. Because this is linebacker group, but I mean, I think both of them are really close. It's a tough week for the 49ers as far as injuries wise.
100%.
We're going to see how good our depth really is.
It's going to get tested.
To be honest with you, I hope this wide receiver room comes out and just dominates and tears it up. And that way I never have questions again.
Yeah, I agree with you, but they have to prove it. And right now they haven't. Like, that's the reality of the situation is they have not. Trent Sherfield, since week 1 in the preseason, has been a non-factor in this offense, a non-factor in the run game.
Probably Detroit, right? He played all right.
He played. I have to give it to him. He had the big catch and he had the touchdown. So I tip my hat and give him credit. We thought this was going to be the launch pad for Trent Sherfield after that week 1 performance. It's
100%.
like, okay, well, they're playing him over BA right now. BA is obviously dealing with something, and Sherfield is going to continue to shine. That narrative changed.
Oh, BA was dealing with something, all right.
Yeah, a little bit of a doghouse issues.
Posing.
So Trent Sherfield needs to step up in a big way, but no, I mean there isn't a worse and better week for this to be the case, right? It's the worst possible week because the Niners have been rolling, and now this is a huge roadblock and a huge amount of adversity to throw on this team after everything that you've dealt with to start. You won 4 or 5. You're rolling right now. You're 6-5. You're in the 6th seed. You're controlling your own destiny. To put this obstacle in front of this team now is a huge one. It comes at the worst possible time when the team is just starting to get their feet wet and just starting to get warm and comfortable doing what we've been doing. It's also the best possible time because the opponent you're playing is also damaged goods and isn't who they are or who they should be at this point in time. But Kyle said it best in his presser yesterday. He talked about Seattle and the struggles offensively. They're going to figure it out at some point. At some point, it's going to start clicking again. You're just hoping it's not this week. And you're hoping you can do enough
Yeah.
to make it stay that way.
I think they can.
I
I think it's going to be creative. They're going to have to figure it out. They're going to have to overcome. But I think that could be a huge, feather in their cap, and something that brings this team even closer together is when players that, when their numbers called, step up in big situations and make plays and help your team win, and you overcome big-time players being out, you kind of look at each other like, oh, we got that special stuff.
Hey,
we can make this happen. We can do this.
We got dudes, right? We got dudes everywhere.
Yeah.
Even if we're missing a couple of dudes, we still got dudes.
That's a lot of dudes.
That's
man.
a lot of dudes, man.
Okay, bro.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Lots of dudes.
You got it. You got the dude.
Yeah.
Bro. Good job.
But yeah,
I'm proud of you.
It's going to be a fun game. I'm looking forward to seeing how they scheme it up, how D'Amico Ryan's attacks, using multiple safeties to, that's really the keys to this game. We're the preview show yet, but how are you going to mask the problems at linebacker, and how are you going to overcome the kind of the depth at the wide receiver position?
How dare you try and spoil the preview show?
I didn't spoil it because we didn't get into all the key matchups.
That's accurate. That's accurate.
I think those are some keys in this football game.
I know. And Cutback Crew, I know you're used to the preview show coming up after this, in the afternoon, but no, 11 a.m. Friday is when the preview show is going to go out. So make sure you stick around and stay tuned for that. We do have the live stream still, though, tonight, 4:30 p.m. Pacific time. You don't want to miss that because we're going to have a lot of fun with that. But, you're right. There's a lot of questions, a lot of things going into what is happening with the 49ers and what's going on with this team, whether it's the linebacker room, whether it's the wide receiver room, whether it's the running game. Can it stay this consistent with no Deebo Samuel there to help as well? A lot of questions the 49ers need to answer this week. You have a team that has a weak run defense, also just been a weak defensive team for a good chunk of the year up until recently, and a team that's struggling right now offensively to find their identity. Can the 49ers capitalize despite the injuries? We're going to find out. We'll talk about it even more in the preview show tomorrow morning at 11 a.m., and we'll dive into even more 49ers news tonight at 4:30 p.m. Pacific time, so make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell. That way you don't miss any of the great content. You don't miss any of the Friday Frenzy.
Yeah, and tonight's live stream, you get to talk all about the news with us, and you get to ask questions because it's a news update show, but it's completely live with your Q&A. Interact with us, talk to us, let us know what you think. The Q&A has been a lot of fun recently, and we want to continue with that. We're just going to add the news on top of that. So let's get into it. Let's have some fun, and let's talk about all the latest and the greatest that is 49ers football.
Latest and greatest, and I love it. I absolutely love it. We'll see you on the live stream, Cutback Crew, and until then, stay safe.
Remember, the right way
is always the 49ers way.